Paro Airport in Bhutan is sandwiched between two 18,000-plus foot Himalayan mountains, which makes it one of the most dangerous places to land planes in the world, as they must be maneuvered between them alongside strong mountain winds to land on a tiny runway. Planes are only allowed to land during the day when visibility is at its best, as flying during the night would be too dangerous. In fact, this airport is so dangerous that only 8 pilots on the planet are qualified enough to land here. They have to maneuver between mountains, fly within feet of houses, and land on a narrow 6,500 feet runway. Most major cities have an airport, but rarely are they built just 5 miles from the city center, especially in metropolises like Sao Paulo. The reason behind Congonhas's close proximity to downtown was that after it was completed in 1936, the city experienced rapid development in the following decades. While having an airport only 5 miles from the city center may be a convenience for commuters, it places a strain on both pilots and air traffic control crews. The awkward runway, noise restrictions, and the arrival and departure routes that are needed to minimize noise print become quite challenging for pilots. Because of the design of the runway, rainwater also proves to be dangerous at this airport, with the slippery runways being the cause of several accidents. Land is a scarce resource in Japan, so they built an airport 3 miles offshore into Osaka Bay to build this structure. Travelers can get from the airport to the main island of Honshu via car, railroad, or a high-speed ferry. The airport is 2.5 miles long and 1.6 miles wide, large enough that it's visible from space. Earthquakes, dangerous cyclones, and an unstable seabed are just some of the variables that threatens the land's survival. The low elevation of this airport, meanwhile, makes it very susceptible to a tsunami should one hit. A professor of aviation technology cautions that climate change and rising sea levels also pose a very real threat. He said, when this was built, engineers probably didn't account for global warming. In 50 years or so, this might be underwater. Tegucigalpa, the capital city of Honduras, is home to another dangerous airport. It's experienced several accidents, including a 2008 crash that killed 5 passengers. The airport opened back in 1934, but that was during a time when planes were less powerful and didn't require such lengthy runways. Tonkontin's runway is just over 7,000 feet long, which is situated in valleys surrounded by mountains. But by far, the most hazardous aspect of this airport is that there's only one way in and one way out for the planes. Either way, despite these high risk factors, planes as large as Boeing's 757s land at the airport regularly. Zhuangzhou Urasgun Airport is located near the tiny island of Saba, located in the Netherlands. This airport is unique, as both ends of the extremely short runway, which is a mere 1,300 foot long, end with a cliff, and both have a steep slope directly leading into the ocean. Also surrounded by tall cliffs, there's no room for error for pilots. As this airport is officially closed, those wishing to land at this airport must obtain a waiver in order to land. However, given the limited amount of land and rolling topography of the island, not many other options exist. Located in the middle of the French Alps, Courchevel Altiport is considered as one of the most dangerous in Europe. The runway measures just 1,722 feet long, and with a distinct hill in the middle, only the most experienced pilots can fly there. Of course, since the airport is in the French Alps, snow, wind, and ice wreak havoc with anything that is airborne. It serves the popular Courchevel ski resort, and thus has a high elevation at over 6,500 feet above sea level. The runway itself slopes upward. You take off downhill and you land going uphill, Stuart Schregenkast, a professor of aviation technology, says. He adds that the hill, which has an 18.5% grade, is so steep that small planes could probably gain enough momentum rolling down it with no engine power to safely glide off the edge. Regarded as one of the busiest airports in the Caribbean and among the most dangerous in the world, the extremely short runway of 7,152 feet at Princess Juliana Airport means that planes have to approach the runway at about 60 feet above a crowded beach area. Jet blasts from planes have been known to knock beachgoers into the water as the runway starts just off the beach. Not many airports are flanked by oceanfront property filled with tourists standing under incoming aircraft. While the tourists are not really in harm's way, with the exception of their hearing, an aviation expert says that trucks driving on the small road between the beach and the runway could be at risk. He says the challenge is to make sure there's not a big semi-truck coming through when the plane is landing. It becomes a vertical obstacle, and if the truck is light, the jet blast could blow it over. The Ice Runway is one of 3 major airstrips used to haul supplies and researchers to Antarctica's McMurdo Station. As its name implies, there are no paved runways here, just long stretches of ice and snow that are meticulously groomed. There is no shortage of space on the ice runway, so supersize aircraft like the C-130 Hercules and the C-17 Globemaster III can land with relative ease. The real challenge here is ensuring the weight of the aircraft and cargo doesn't bust the ice or get the plane stuck in soft snow. As the ice of the runway begins to break up, planes are redirected to Pegasus Field or Williams Field, the 2 other airstrips servicing the continent. The runway is only usable in the coldest months of the year, with each plane that lands on the runway being measured with a laser in order to determine how deeply it is sinking into the ice. Once a plane sinks at least 10 inches, it must be moved to a safer location on the ice. Between Morocco and Spain sits the tiny British territory of Gibraltar. Construction of the airport dates back to World War II, and it continues to serve as a base for the United Kingdom's Royal Air Force, though commercial flights land on a daily basis. The only problem is that Winston Churchill Avenue, Gibraltar's busiest road, cuts directly across the runway. Railroad-style crossing gates hold cars back every time a plane lands or departs. The runway goes from side to side on the island because it's the only flat space there. Either way, it's pretty amazing how there's never been a major accident at the airport. Tenzing Hillary Airport was originally called Lukla Airport, but was renamed to honor the first climbers to reach the summit of Mount Everest, Sherpa Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary. This airport, located in Lukla, Nepal, is to service those wishing to climb Mount Everest, as well as those wishing to explore the Everest region. There's several dangers associated with the airport's location, though. High winds affect maneuverability, while cloud cover affects visibility. Even more frightening, however, is that one end of the runway is preceded by high terrain instead of a sandy beach on the other end, which leads to a 2,000-foot drop. The airport has witnessed several accidents, with the most recent occurring on October 12, 2010. An aircraft lost control while landing and crashed into the wall end of the runway. Everyone on board survived. Still, the high winds, cloud cover, high terrain, and the huge drop makes the Tenzing Hillary Airport one of the most dangerous airports in the world.